Welcome to the Law Student Division Assembly Open Forum. We'll be discussing shifting elections to spring. We drafted a resolution to amend our bylaws to move elections for certain positions that in the late summer months to be in the spring months, so that students would have an opportunity to both transition into their positions and also to avoid kind of the burden of having to pay to be at annual meetings. So we'll go ahead and discuss kind of more background on that. If anyone would like to jump in about the background of the resolution.
I mean, I can talk about it if you'd like.
Sure.
Great. Thanks, Nagin. So as many of you know, this resolution was written to shift all of our elections to the spring cycle. So right now we currently have a 2-cycle system where 3 of the positions are elected in the spring, that being the ABA, the division chair, the ABA law student at large, and the education director. Is that correct? Yeah. And then the rest of the positions are elected at an annual meeting over the summer. So the issues that we've run into with this is that the spring elections are conducted all remote. Everyone applies through the application online. It's then screened, and then they are selected by the committee. And then those elections go to a question and answer session, and then there's like 2 weeks of campaigning before they vote. And the vote's all conducted online. The difference with the spring election, with the fall election cycle, is that there's an in-person element to it, right? So if you can attend annual meeting, you have a bit of an advantage over other candidates who can't attend, right? Because a lot of the voting populace is then present at annual meeting. So the impetus behind this resolution was to really kind of try to level the playing field in that regard. So we hit 3 kind of central points as to why we wanted to shift everything. First and foremost, we wanted to create equal access to the ballot. As I mentioned, because some people can attend annual meeting and some people cannot, there's a little bit of an advantage to those that can attend. So we want to kind of preclude any advantage because of a certain person's financial situation or family situation where they cannot attend. So then there's an advantage given the other candidates. So we want to have kind of that equal access to the ballot, which kind of hits on our other points, which include diversity and inclusion, ensuring that members of less represented communities who might not be able to attend annual meeting for any number of reasons can still run for a position. So this promotes our kind of diversity and inclusion aspect of the law student division that Nagin and I are both very supportive of. But I really think more than anything, it's about building an effective transition period. The nice thing about the position I'm in and the position Nagin is in is that we were really able to have an transition period where when we were elected in the spring, we then had basically March through August to learn from our predecessors. So me from, Meredith. And I had a concussion today, so I'm a little dazed. I apologize. I hit myself with a medicine ball working out this morning. And Nagin from Thomas. So yeah, see, it's not all there. So the nice thing about this transition period is it really gives everybody the opportunity to learn from their predecessors, which I don't think we don't currently lack, because with the other positions, they're elected in August and they take office like a day later. So it works out well. So that was sort of the background behind the resolution. We've submitted it, we've drafted it, it's gone around, and I think we've received very little, if any, opposition to it. More than anything, we've actually received a lot of support. And so I wanted to have this kind of Q&A session to sort of talk about it. So that's kind of the background and the basics of it. I'll hand it back over to you, Nagin, unless you think I missed anything.
Nope, that was perfect. Thank you so much, Matt. Is there anything you would like to add to that, Mio?
Not really. I mean, just so sort of like we're clear, like why now? I think from last elections, obviously, like I was just elected this past August. It's a conversation that definitely the delegates had before. some delegates, such as myself, when I was trying to run. Definitely, I felt that I couldn't run because I couldn't get really funds in the beginning for my institution to attend annual. And so I definitely vouch for this resolution. If anyone has any questions regarding it, I feel free to let us know.
Perfect, sounds good. I think we did have a question based on the feedback form. Most of what we got for our feedback form, and for those of us who are on this Zoom call now, just to give you an idea. Mio, can you hear us still? So most of the feedback that we got from the form is mostly positive.
Can people hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you all. Hello.
I'm muted. Hello?
Can you hear us, Mio? All right, we'll put her on mute for now.
Okay. So most of the feedback we received from the feedback form was positive. There are a lot of people who are in support of creating this timeline that makes it easier for students to access the election. The only question that we did get was that, and I'll repeat the exact feedback that we got. So I think the proposed resolution is a good idea, especially as someone who lacked the financial resources to travel to the annual meeting in August. My only concern would be the timing of the elections. Our SBA elects new leadership at the end of March. Would this spring law student division elections be before then or after? My underlying concern is whether our new SBA president and ABA rep would have a say in the LSD executive board. And then a thank you to everyone who worked on this. So I just looked up the timeline of our elections from last year, and campaigning was in March. I think it would remain in March as far as I understand. So we could talk a little bit more about the timeline and everything, but this is a fair question about if which class of SBA presidents and ABA reps are electing the incoming LSD board. Does anyone want to take that question on, or shall I take it on myself? Because I can also do that.
Well, I think just in my experience, this is Austin. I'm the director of the Law Student Division, so I'm here on staff. Been here about 4 years now. Not every school is on the same election cycle, so it's going to be really hard if we try to key it to any particular school. So the best we can do is try to put us in the best position to get maybe a majority of input from incoming folks who are at the schools. But if not, the outgoing can have their say too. And I think that's fine. But yeah, it's just, we've kind of found that all schools do things differently. Their elections happen. Some happen in the fall, some happen in the spring. So it'd be really tough to kind of try to make sure that everyone's on the same cycle, unfortunately. Is that your sense too, Nagin?
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think when I ran, I think a lot of now former SBA presidents and former ABA reps voted for me, and when we transitioned into the role, the newly elected folks were acquainted with us that their predecessors voted for. So I think that was how it's always been for the chair and legal ed, and for the at-large representative to the Board of Governors positions, as it's been in the last few years. And I personally don't think it was a huge hurdle to make. I think it's harder to introduce the American Bar Association and the process of what we do to people who are newly elected, and people who have that experience kind of can speak to who the next leadership should be, but that's just my personal opinion. But to answer that question, I think Austin answered it perfectly. Is that's the timeline that we have, and it would definitely be the 2017 to 2018. I'm sorry, 2018 to 2019 SBA president and ABA rep voting for the person, and then the next year the same thing. Does anyone have anything to add to that?
No, I think you covered the basics of what I would have said. I think that it's hard to anticipate. I know some schools do elections as late as April, and some are as early as like February. I know ours are in February.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a good point, but I think that where we have it right now is probably just the best location.
Yeah, I think it's best case scenario for all parties too. Anybody else want to add anything? And if not, we'll go ahead and open the floor to anybody who would like to, who's in the call right now, to ask questions if they'd like. Okay. Hearing none, I know we have a few people on. If they'd like to hop in and give us any feedback or ask any questions. Okay, I'm hearing none. Is there anything that folks think that students watching this should know about this resolution, like the quick and easy facts about what they should know before they make a decision to vote in favor or against?
Just in my experience, again, as the director and staff, having the opportunity to learn about the position before taking office, I just think is so crucial, and I can't stress this enough, having gone through this a few times. Most ABA sections, to get to a leadership position as high as chair or as high as vice chair or as high as delegate, you've been involved in the ABA, say in the business law section, to take the chair of that entity. 20, 15 years, you've been actively involved, you know what the ABA does. Right now, under our current system, the 4 delegates who take office at annual meeting, who are elected at annual meeting, they just kind of thrown headfirst into this, and it's very difficult. So I think this is really important to get good representation for students across the nation. If you want better representation, it's important for those 4 positions to be moved back into the spring, giving them that 5 or 6 months training at least. That's the least we can give them before they take office and represent your interests. So it's a very unique case here in the ABA, the Law Student Division, and that, again, there's no training wheels for the most part. There's not the 10 years or 15 years sometimes that other entities have to kind of groom someone into a position. So the least we can do is give them a few months to get acclimated to the ABA, because it's a big structure, it's a big organization, it's a huge bureaucracy, and it's very hard to get a grasp of. Even with those 4 months, and Nagin will tell you that she had, it's very hard to understand what's going on. So you can imagine someone who's just, I'm at an annual meeting, I'm elected, now I'm in one of the highest positions in the ABA for a division, for an entity leader. It's very hard. So I think this is a step in the right direction. Not to mention the points that Matt and Neil made about having access. It's, there's no advantage for people who have the means to travel if we move this. So I would really recommend adopting this for your sake, for the sake of the division.
Yeah, thank you, Austin. Would Matt or Neil like to chime in on that as well?
I'll just say that I agree with what Austin said. I think that it seems like a small change, but I think it will have pretty long-lasting effects for the division. Austin kind of touched on it, but the transition period that individuals like myself and Nagin were afforded, I think was a huge benefit. And I think that that alone will allow our division to be more productive during the 1 year that we're in office, because it's not like they're trying to ramp up from, August 3rd on. Instead, they can kind of use March to August to kind of get up to speed and then hit the ground running in August after annual meetings. So I really think that while I think that it will promote diversity and inclusion, I think it will level the playing field in terms of ballot access. I think that we'll see the biggest changes from this resolution just from the fact that we get this transition period out of 4 more members of our officer corps. So I support it, obviously. I hope everybody will, and I think that it's the right decision for the division moving forward.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Mia, would you like to have any final remarks as well?
Yeah, I echo everything that has been said already. Like I said before, like personally, I would have loved to meet the board beforehand when Nagin and Matt took office. So that would have been a good way to even create more synergy within the council, which again, like Matt said, will go a long way in terms of just being effective and productive as a council. If the delegates are not voted simultaneously as like the other positions, it does create some sort of catch up for those that have not been elected in the spring. So again, it will create the synergy needed, and the effectiveness of the council will be improved. So I obviously support this resolution, and I hope everyone else will. Thanks.
Thanks, Mio. Now, if anybody on the call wants to make any comments or ask any questions, please feel free to jump in and do so. But if not, we are going to wrap up. I just want to make sure everyone is aware of the timeline, so everyone watching knows. You received an email from Austin regarding the timeline of the resolution and when you will be making your decision. So you were given notice of it on October 11th, and you were given the PDF file. The comment period began on October 11th and will end on October 25th. So please, if you have any comments or questions, concerns, please submit it to the Google form by October 25th. We'll be able to review any of those concerns that you all may have, answer any questions. And the voting period, this is most important, the voting period will be October 29th through November 1st. And the ballots will be distributed to voting members of the assembly via email. So please feel free to ask questions, but also look into your inboxes and make sure that you're looking out for that email with the ballots. With that, I think we are going to wrap up. Thank you all for watching this video, and thank you for those of you who've joined the call. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me personally. And I'm sure by now everyone has my email address, so I don't have to repeat it. But please feel free to reach out and visit abaforlawstudents.com if you want to check out the website and check out anything. All of our contact info is on there. So thank you all again, and have a great day.